this is the story of really what we did to bring down our churn rate. So I actually didn't put 2015 because it's so embarrassing that it's worse. So basically so about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago when I came into the business, this was the number one problem that we had, was that we had a lot of our trade space leaving us every month. And in fact, if you looked on average, you would see that the whole base, on average, of course there are some customers who are always with us, but that whole base would basically have to be reacquired every year, which is very expensive and obviously makes it very difficult to grow the business and to be profitable. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we did to turn this around. The 2% here is where I think the best in class might be if you were to have perfect retention, because in the trade space, there's such a large number of people who actually just leave, in the UK at least, maybe not in Germany because it's such a different system, but who just leave the trade entirely and go and do something different or go take a job. So this is very hard for us to retain those people if they've decided to become a baker instead. So, but 3% is getting quite good. So, and it does allow us to have a nice growth. So, what did we do? Click, click. We did 3 things. There's always 3 things. The first thing is we chose our customers better. The second thing is we provided better service. And the last thing is we designed a better proposition. So, okay, let's talk about how we decided to choose our customers a little bit differently than in the past. So, I think that though we did do vetting when I came in, so we've always done some vetting of our customer base, we decided that we would do a much stricter level of vetting. So we now do 16 checks on all of our trades businesses, which means that actually 25% of them are blocked from joining. And it turns out, interestingly enough, that this has really helped with our churn, because what happens is that when you have trades businesses that get bad reviews, you find that they leave, because then homeowners won't choose them anymore. And also it turns out that if customers or trades businesses have bad credit, that they also leave because they can't pay you because they don't have the money to pay you. And it also turns out that this is a win-win, because for homeowners, not to get somebody who does bad service and also not to get somebody who has some credit issues is very good for them as well. So that was the first thing that we focused on. And the second thing we did was we moved from a model where you would be able to come in and pay us £5 to try the service out to a model where you had to commit to us £240. What this did was essentially raise the bar, so we no longer could take people who only had £5 in their pocket. It essentially said you have to already have a little bit of success that you can have at least £240 in your pocket. And it also allowed us to ask them to give us a commitment so that they would have the time to go ahead and try the service for long enough that they could win some work and get a rating. And this then very much helped us get the customer past, let's say, the activation phase. And so now 85% of our customers are on a subscription. Now, by the way, this was not such a easy thunk, I dream of Jeannie moment, because it took us a long time to get there, because first we had to build a sales organization, because you actually start to need to be able to have a phone call or have a conversation with not everybody. We still sign a few people up online, but for the most part, we still have to now actually have a conversation with our customers, which meant we had to build a team to do this, because it's easy to sell something for £5, but harder to sell something and really explain how it works and get people onboarded. And so it took us a little bit more effort up front, but it meant that we were more likely to be able to keep that customer. The second thing we did was we served our customers better. So In the UK, there's a TV show called Rogue Traders. There's actually a whole bunch of these TV shows. There's sort of a bit of a meme in the UK, which is that tradespeople are criminals, which is not a good thing at all. In fact, it's completely untrue. And we as a company had, I think, somehow absorbed some of that feeling where we were always a bit suspicious about our customers. But it turns out that 97% of our customer ratings and reviews are actually very positive, so 4 or 5 star positive ratings. And we needed to completely change the way that we were talking to our customers, because it's certainly not fair to go ahead and treat somebody like a criminal if there's only 1 or 2, and really you just need to keep them from coming onto the platform in the first place. So, but it took a really big cultural change inside the company to start to talk to people with respect, with empathy, with kindness, all of the things, and really make sure that that our customers, when they called us, knew that we were listening to them properly. And it is still something that we are working on an ongoing basis, is that tone of proper goodness, like assuming that this person is a good person doing a great job, rather than the other way around. So this has also very much helped us when we're in a situation where we need to provide a little bit of flexibility. And so the other thing we had to do is, rather than be in a situation where our customer service agents have a script, and they're sort of in the UK there's a joke which is the computer says no, you know. I don't know any British people in the room, but basically if you're a customer service agent, there's some sort of a path you have to follow, and it says, oh, if he says this, then say that. If he says this, then say that. And we had to change that. We had to move to a place where you're actually having a proper conversation with somebody, and you're listening to understand what their problem is, and you're trying to solve the problem, and you're trying to solve it right then and there. And you also need to give your agents some flexibility to be able to listen and say, okay, so you need to make this change to your plan, or maybe you need a month off, or whatever it takes. Basically, you need to make sure that customer was listened to properly, and the agent had the flexibility to be able to do something to help that customer be successful. And again, this really meant that we had to do a lot more training of our customer service agents, and in fact, I've now completely insourced it because of that, because you need to have people who are really familiar with your service and can have a good conversation. And the last thing we did was really focus on the service. This is actually the biggest part of what we did. And in a way, it was your classic listening to your customer, making sure that they're successful by understanding what it is that they like and what they don't like about your service. And this included many, many different aspects of the work that we do. So one of the things that we figured out was our North Star, as is the trend right now to talk about North Star, but is win rate. So this is the amount of work that our customers are getting through us, and we wanted to make sure not just to give them the service and then say, okay, you guys, off you go, hope you get some success, but really support our customer to make sure that they were winning. And there's many aspects to this. One of this is making sure that the information that the homeowner is providing is good, it's accurate, it's contactable, and it has high intent, so that the tradesperson is actually going to win the work if they do a good job of speaking to the customer. Lots of other things also. We had to make sure that our, in fact, let me just see, do I have you? I'll talk a little bit more about this. So win rate is really about also making sure that we're giving our customers tips for how to be successful. So, for example, making sure that it was very easy for them to fill out their profile. When I first came in, you could only set up your profile on the web, and it turns out that when you move it over to allowing people to set it up on their mobile phone, This makes it so much easier for them because they're on the go, and they can also take pictures of their work, and it makes it much easier for them to load it and have up-to-date profiles, which are more likely then to be chosen by the homeowner. We also had to make sure that they understood that it's a good idea to contact the customer right away. So if the customer's interested, make sure that you always are in touch within 10 minutes, because this makes sure that the homeowner is right then and there at the moment they want to have a conversation and want to get the errand done. And the last thing was really about one big complaint that we had was that if there was a problem and they couldn't quote, they felt like they had spent some of their credit. So the way our system works is there's credit included inside the subscription that you pay us, and they wanted to get their money back. So we gave them credit if they couldn't quote. And this really helped a lot because it made it feel a lot fairer for our customer. And frankly, it also gave us a metric that we could then use to judge lead quality by marketing source. So we can actually now track from every marketing channel what the quality is, not just the quantity, and tune our channels to improve the quality. Another thing we did was really think about, well, how can we make our service a habit? So not something that people just kind of dip in and out of whenever they maybe just need to fill in a Friday morning, but how can we make sure that this is something that's part of their day-to-day way that they're working? And one thing we found out was that sometimes, though you might be a very good plumber, you might not be super good at organizing yourself. And by that I mean keeping track of who you've called, what did you quote, did it go well, did you win the work, etc. And even all the way down to invoicing. So what we did was we built a light SaaS platform for our customer to be able to track all of their customer contact and how they how it's going, so that they can see where are they in the funnel of trying to convert that work. And that actually goes all the way through to invoicing and escrow payments now as well. So really we want it, and we're seeing our customers also now use this platform for work that they haven't won through us, which is interesting because it means that this is now part of their day-to-day, even if it's not, even if they're not getting the work through our platform, which is interesting. We also put in place something very normal and straightforward, but we spend a lot of time tuning this, is notifications, so that there's a notification on their app right away. Every time something that is relevant, that is interesting to them comes into the platform, they get a nice push notification. And lastly, we made sure that there was lots of other benefits for the service. So discount on trades materials, free phone insurance, some nice perks for their family, so free movie tickets, pizza, this kind of thing. It really seems to be something, a discount on fuel, something that then gives another reason to continue to be a member with us. And by the way, the improvement in engagement is pretty strong. So we have a good majority of our customers engaging with us every month, which is great. And the last thing, it sounds a little bit dull. It's actually really important, is to get your operations in good shape. We needed to put into place systems so that we had a single customer view. So in our particular case, for better for worse, we use Salesforce Marketing Cloud. We have also a good billing platform in place now as well. And this means that our customer service team, our sales team, our CRM team, marketing team, all have the same view of the customer all the way through. And when the phone rings, we can see exactly what happened. Did that person get an email? Did they get a push notification? Did they get a call? What's all their behavior on the system, on the membership, so that we can quickly have a good understanding of where our customer is, so that we can serve them better. But it also meant that we could then use that set of behaviors to trigger online journeys that made sense in terms of CRM that could be automated. And I think, again, this is super, super helpful for retention because it means that if you're going to, for example, you see somebody is disengaged, you can trigger an email journey to that customer and then have a view of what happened. Did that person call in? Did they buy a lead? And so on. You can get the results, but you have to put a whole data layer over your whole business in order to achieve that. And also, of course, having a good billing platform and billing people correctly, though that sounds sort of basic and trivial, is important as well. So again, really designing the service properly. So that's what happened. We improved our retention of our customer. We're now in second year retention of 85% of our customers. They've signed back up again. We massively increased our average order value as well, by the way. So almost 300% improvement in our average order value over the last few years. That meant that combined with all the funnel optimization meant that we doubled our LTV to CAC ratio. And we went from losing a lot of money to making some money. So that's it.
Wow. Thank you, Celia. The humble you. Like, now all the charts going up, like everything's like tripling, doubling, quadrupling.
Well, it sounds like boom,
amazing.
But it's actually lots and lots of
but
little
it is
work
boom.
over
So
time.
We all have this boom moment, and there's probably going to be a lot of questions in the room on how you made this boom possible. There's the first one here, and then there.
Do you think you could have started with the subscription model and with high quality selection process, or it's inevitable that you start with the £5, and whatever comes?
Well, it's very difficult for me to answer this. I have only been in the business, you can see, for 4 years, so 4.5. I think it's a business that takes a long time to build, and I think it's a question that's very hard for me to answer because it's the problem that we actually faced by not starting with high quality and with maybe a higher commitment is that it meant that I had to take huge numbers of people off our books, and this is almost a waste of time, if that makes sense. You've sort of spent all this money contacting them, calling them, giving them something for free, serving them. It's very unprofitable. But maybe in the beginning it helped to have people trying it and seeing if it works well for them. The problem is, of course, that if you have tradespeople who are no good, you get a bad reputation both with tradespeople and homeowners, and so turning the brand around and the brand sentiment around after all that time is is a big challenge. So I probably would still counsel to start with good quality, yeah.
Hi, thanks for a great presentation. My question is the following. As for the pricing, how did you determine the kind of size of payment from your customers? Did you launch some A/B experiments to determine that it will be like 200 per month, or you did some kind of observation of cohorts? Are you sure that that's optimal level for you right now?
Yeah, so just to be clear, we make between, the least you can pay us to is $240. So we have customers who pay us $30,000, $40,000 a year. So it's actually a really wide range. So pricing is actually very flexible, depending on what you want. It's actually almost like we're making a pricing decision on every phone call. I'm not saying that there aren't price plans. We're still picking from standard price plans. It's just that there's a very wide range depending on what's the best fit for your business.
We have time for one more question before we actually break up for the break. And please just stay around and ask Celia directly after the presentation otherwise.
When you talked about making your traders succeed over here,
hello.
You said you're starting to track the conversion rate of an offer to a job, and that involves the tradespeople actually opening up their books to you and showing you what they make. Was there any kind of resistance towards that? Any kind of mistrust? Like, I'm showing rated people too much of my business, they might want to charge me higher.
Yeah, we don't actually look at any of that. So, I mean, we do let them know we're not looking. It's just more that we are trying to create a habit. Now, you're right that there are going to be some people who trust us more than other people. They put their work, they track it, it's all in the system. So I guess, yeah, I don't even know actually if we'd be allowed to look at it, but maybe on an aggregated basis we could analyze it and see if there were some insights. We do use the information that's coming through that for cost guidance to our homeowners. So we can now say for each postcode and each type of work what the typical price range is. So that data is useful in that regard, but otherwise, but yeah, there's always going to be that suspicion. Are they going to look at it? Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. The majority of our customers are using it.
Thank you, Celia, for an amazing presentation and
You're
for
welcome.
being super flexible. Thank you. Big hands to Celia.
Thank you.